Hi everyone, Eric here, and today I want to talk about an error I made once with creating head and body turns using layer orders with smart bones. And very first thing, this is not a tutorial on layer ordering, but let me show you or remind you of a few basic things. One, layer order is set on the group, which could be a bone layer or a group layer. And of course, with Smart Actions, this is only the Pro version. But to make sure that layer order is actually going to work with a group, you double click it, the depth sort, and you make sure that enabled animated layer order is turned on, which it was. And so any keyframe for layer order is set on the group, not on the individual layer. Let me show you how that is set. I'll go to frame 12 here. I'm just going to grab the head layer and move it up. And you can see that the head is moving in front of that ear right there, but you don't see any keyframes in the channels for that layer. That's because those are all recorded on the bone layer. And what the bone layer is recording is the current layer order. The layers don't know where they are. It is just taking a snapshot of what order those layers are on. If I move leg back above the body here and go back to the bone layer, you'll see there's no change in the keyframe. That is just saying this is the order these layers are on this frame. And so moving them around changes the picture it's recorded, but it's not keeping track. It doesn't actually care that one layer is here and one layer is there. It's just taking a picture of those layers and saying this is where I place them when it hits this point in the timeline. So I'll just delete those and go back, and everything's popped back. And so the reason I have created these three objects in a darker gray is they are the ones that are starting off below the body. And I just wanted you to have a clear view as things move above and below. And I've also made the ears massive so you can see them more clearly. It looks a bit like Princess Leia there if you're a Star Wars fan. So let's get started. I have created three smart bones here. I've created a head turn that when it goes to the left, negative, it layer orders the ears so they come above and below. You can see that happening right about there. When I go the other way, it doesn't switch the layer order, it just moves them. And that's true also for the shoulder turn. There's the swap. And for the hip turn, there's the swap. Okay, so that all looks great in frame 0, but it's going to go wrong, and let me show you why. Now, right now, I've only got one group, the bone layer, and everything is just directly inside of it. And I've also got actions for these 1, 2, 3 bones. Head turn, shoulder turn, hip turn. Head turn, there we go. That bone goes, I move those ears out, they swap, and then kind of bring them back in to give that illusion of the head turning. Now you'll notice on the bone layer, in the smart action, here's the layer order. And so as I go out just about halfway through, frame 25 of 48, here is the recording of the layer order, and it is recording the exact layer order that you are seeing in the layers palette right now. So let me switch to the hip turn. This is the one that has the layer order. They move. Actually, no, it's hip turn 2. So there it is. There's the layer action there. And as I move to frame 25, there's the pop of going in front and back. And again, in the layers palette, what's happened is leg front has gone behind the body and leg back has come in front of the body. And then on the shoulder turn too, there's my keyframe again set at 25 for the bone layer. And the arm front is going to drop to the bottom, and the arm back is going to pop up above the body. There it is. So that's recorded for the bone layer, but inside of the smart action. Back to the main line. So right now for the bone layer, there are no order keyframes for the bone layer proper. Those are set inside the smart actions. So let's see what goes wrong. So I'm just gonna, it all looked fine. So I'll say I'm gonna come out to frame 18. And she's gonna look, well, she's gonna twist her hips. So you can see that the hips change direction when I got about halfway through the move. I'll just go all the way. And now she's going to turn her head. Now, did you see the hips suddenly went wrong? They popped back into the wrong place. That's because on the head turn, the layer order is recorded with the front and back legs in that order, not in the order defined in the hip turn. Now the smart bones, if they both handle things, they fight over who takes control. And in this case, the head takes control. Watch what happens on the shoulders now that the head's in control. No matter what happens, they don't swap, and they should swap. I'll show you. I'll just get rid of those keyframes. There, they swap. And now I'll turn the head. Oops. The minute I turn the head, it activates the other picture of the smart actions in the head layer and pops them back. So that is the problem I discovered when I was inside my animation. Fortunately, it hadn't taken me long to discover it this time, so I didn't lose a lot of work. And I'll get rid of that again. So let's talk about how to fix this problem. And what is happening is that there's only one group to record layer order. If you put a group inside a group, that group will have its own layer order picture. And so what I'm going to do is first, I'm going to put the head in its own layer, its own group. So I'll select the ear, the head, and the other ear. And I will add a new layer, and I'm just going to come down and I'm going to choose group with selection. There it is. And I'll name that head group. And the other thing I'm going to do, let me just apply that, I'm going to go to the depth sort because animated layer order is not activated by default. So I'll turn it on, apply it, and click OK. And now let's look at the smart action for that head turn. See, that's broken now, but it's here for that head turn. So I just need to delete that, and then I'll go to my head group and come to frame 25. Now the bone is still controlling the ears, so I don't need to fix those. So all I have to do is go to frame 25, and I'll move ear left below the head and the ear right above the head. I'll go to the head group, and there is my keyframe for those. So we'll come back out to the main line, and I'll move on back here. I'll turn the shoulders there, they've reversed, and now when I turn the head, they reverse and the shoulders don't pop back, because now the head group has its own setting just for those head layers. But if I turn the hips, you'll notice that the hips won't go in front and behind. That's because the shoulder's already in control. And I'll come back. So what I need to do is get slightly more clever in this case. I've got the arm above the leg and the body. Then there's the leg, and there's the other arm. If you think about it, that is actually the order things would be in if you're standing there slightly sideways. Your arm would be first, then your leg, then your body, then the other leg, then the back arm. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave the arms outside of it any subgroups. I'm going to just keep those in the bone layer, but I am going to select leg front, body, and leg back, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to add a new group with selections, faster. There it is. Call that body and legs. And I'll go to depth sort, and again, enable animated layer order. And once again, the hip turn for the bone layer, it's still on the bone layer and not on body and legs. But that's a change on 25. It's an easy change. It's just moving the legs above and below the body. All I have to do is delete that. Come down to the body and legs layer. Still in the smart action. And so I'll just get leg front and move it below the body, and leg back and move it in front of the body. And if I go back up to the group, there's my keyframe. Ta-da! Come back to the main line, and now just open my groups. I can go to the main bone group. I can turn the head turn. And there, those are switching. You could see those pop differently. I can turn the shoulders and they switch, and I can turn the hips and they switch. So now everything has its own group with its own keyframe set for the order of the layers inside of that particular group, and they don't interfere with one another. One other thing I wanted to point out, and a lot of people get frustrated by this when they're doing layer ordering, is that the minute you activate a smart bone that affects any layer ordering, you cannot then move anything in the group. See, no matter how I try, those won't reorder. The smart bone is taking control of that. So if you find you can't order layers manually in your animation, it's almost certainly because you have a smart bone already taking control of them. Either that or you just don't have the enable layer order turned on. So I hope you found this helpful. And thanks for listening. Ask any questions in the comments area, and I'll see you next time.